Welcome to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is our countdown to two-a-days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team in our August 17th preseason football preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And today, Dan, we're talking about one of the most storied programs in the Big Country and a team that we think is going to take a huge step forward this year, the Brownwood Lions.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Brownwood team. They only went 4-7 last year, but they return a ton of talent. 24 Lettermen are back from that team, including 7 offensive and 10 defensive starters. And here may be the most interesting part is they got call-ups from a 10-0 JV team. So a lot of kids that have had a lot of success at lower levels are going to be filling the few holes that they do have. So I think that this Brownwood team has a chance to be very, very good. They returned one of the area's top running backs in Conlon Anderson, who rushed for over 1,800 yards last year, 20 touchdowns. He's gonna be a big part of that. And then just really, I mean, talent up and down, big line. I mean, there's just a lot to like about this team.
I'll tell you what, I'll say it now. I think that this might end up being one of the best Brownwood teams we've seen in the last decade or so, dating back to the Shipley era, back when they played for a state championship or a state semifinal 12 years ago. I cannot believe that was 12 years ago. My gosh, I'm getting old. But this is going to be one of the best Brownwood teams that we have seen since that time. They are loaded with skill. They've got two quality quarterbacks. They've got a quality quarterback coming up from JV, Ike Hall, who is going to be the favorite to take that job. He led the JV last year to a 10-0 record. And then they've got last year's starter, Chance Jones, serving as a backup, who might end up, still winning the starting job. It's possible, but he'll probably be moved to a receiver spot. They're huge up front. They've got Isaac Gray, 280 pounds. They've got Quentin McCarty, 270 pounds. They've got a move-in Logan Knight from California, who is 6'4" and 300 pounds. He's big, and he's only a junior. They got size all over the field. Slade Espinoza is back, 5'10", 265. You have all this skill, you have all this size, you have all this experience, and all the vacancies being filled by this 10-0 JV team. This is going to be a quality Brownwood football team.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could be right. They've got just like we said, skill all over the place. Colin Anderson was a guy that they could really lean on at that running back position. And if Ike Hall is a guy that can kind of open up their passing game a little bit, watch out, because then you've got a really balanced attack, and I think that would just make them even more dangerous. Jason Jackson's a guy at that receiver position. They had over 600 yards last year receiving, 9 touchdowns. He's going to be a big time weapon on the edges. I mean, offensively, this should be a really exciting team to watch. And then defensively, like you said, a lot of size again up front. They're going to be able to move bodies, and they've got some really nice players behind that line, making stops. When you talk about guys like linebacker Dryden Anderson had over 100 tackles last year. I mean, middle linebacker Sam Coleman is coming up as a junior, is a guy that has a chance to be a really nice player. So, yeah, I mean, I think they've got a lot of reasons to be very optimistic about their chances this year.
Well, let's take a look at this Brownwood schedule. Let's take a look at the non-district portion of it. They open up, and it's a challenging slate, as you would expect. Brownwood never ducks anybody. They've got Wiley, a 5A, coming into Gordon Wood Stadium on August 26th in their season opener. They travel to Marble Falls on September 2nd. They go to Burnett on September the 9th. They host Glen Rose, a very good Glen Rose team, on September the 16th. They're going to Waco Connolly on the 23rd. And then they travel to Stephenville on September the 30th, facing their arch rival. And I think that's going to be an interesting matchup.
And that should get them ready for district, which begins October 7th with a home game against Big Spring, followed by a road date at San Angelo Lakeview on the 13th of October. Then they come home to face Lubbock Estacado on the 21st, and then wrap up the regular season at Andrews on October 28th. One thing that's kind of interesting about this schedule is the Brownwood Lions have their bye week the last week of the season, so the last week of the regular season. So assuming they make the playoffs, which I think we both think is a pretty good likelihood, they're going to get a full week to prepare and to rest and recoup, which could really come in handy as they enter the postseason. But interesting schedule. One thing that worth noting as well, that 6 road dates on the schedule. They only play 4 home games, so that's something to keep an eye on down the road as well.
Key game of the year, I look at that season finale at Andrews is more than likely being for the district championship that will be on October the 28th. And again, if Brownwood, well, in all likelihood, wins that ball game, they'll be district champions and then have a bye in an open date on November the 4th to heal up and get ready for by district play, so that will be big. As far as the most interesting games on the slate, there's a couple of them in the non-district portion. Hosting Glen Rose on September 16th should be a dandy, and I'm looking forward to that Stephenville game on the road on September 30th. That'll be a good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, really, you look at the schedule up and down, a lot of really exciting, entertaining games. I'm excited about that opener against Wiley at home. I think that'll be a good one as well. But just a lot of really what should be very good, tough games in non-district to get them ready for district play. And then, like you said, I think it all comes down most likely to that final game for them against Andrews on the road. So this is gonna be an interesting season. I think you and I both are very, very bullish on this Brownwood team, and for good reason. And I'm excited to see if they can kind of live up to those expectations.
Yeah, I think the switch to West Texas district is going to be helpful.
Mhm.
They were in a murderer's row out there in District 5. That was tough in a very difficult region, stuck with Stephenville and La Vega, and it was just murder. I think this is a lot more equitable, and they've got more talent and more depth now as well. I think they're lined up. I think all the ducks are in a row.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you make an interesting point there. Is just from a psychological standpoint, you've got to be really excited to kind of get out of that district where you had, a lot of times the last two years you had three teams that kind of felt like they had a chance to go to a state championship game. And
Yes.
you're talking about some of the teams in there. Now all of a sudden, we're in the past years, Brownwood was maybe playing for that fourth spot. Here they're looking at it and saying, "Hey, we can win this district championship." I think just psychologically that's got to be a boost. So it's going to be exciting to see if they can, like I said, live up to the expectations they have for this year's group.
All right. And with that, it's about time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Day series, the Brownwood Lions. But before we do that, we want to remind you we've got three separate subscription packages here at bigcountrypreps.com. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription for $4 a month. And then we got an annual 12-month subscription where you knock that price down to $3 a month. $36 for a full year of Big Country high school athletic coverage.
We'd also like to remind you one more time before we close out this episode of our countdown series to be on the lookout for that August 17th preseason football preview. We are just going to have a ton of area football content. You will definitely not want to miss that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Day series. And make sure you join us again tomorrow when we'll be talking about the Stephenville Yellow Jackets here at bigcountrypreps.com.